It's a scene in which Eitan asks his dad what it was like for his dad hearing for the first time about his diagnosis that he was going blind. And his dad talks about feeling like he had let Eitan down, feeling like he had been kicked in the stomach, feeling like maybe he could have caught it earlier. All the vulnerabilities of a parent come out when you have a child who is suffering a terrible loss that you cannot prevent. And I think every parent in the audience really connected with that scene.
Elena Neuman is an award-winning documentary filmmaker and founder of Neuman Films. Looking Up is Neuman's feature directorial debut, for which she won the New York WIFT Award for Excellence in Directing from the Soho International Film Festival in New York. The film also won the Jury Award for Best Feature Documentary at the Lonely Seal Film Festival in Boston. Elena's short film about four Holocaust survivors, People Forget, New Haven Remembers, was broadcast on Connecticut Public Television and is streaming on CPTV. Elena co-produced directed Wishmakers, a short film about an award-winning Israeli wine produced by mentally handicapped adults, which won the International Gold Medal from the World Humanitarian Awards. Elena has also produced content for many Jewish educational and nonprofit organizations. Previously, Elena was an associate producer at Manifold Productions, where she worked on 3 PBS films: The Fall of Newt Gingrich, Rediscovering George Washington, and God in the Inner City. A graduate of Cornell and Yale Universities, Elena spent her early career as a print journalist before segueing into documentary filmmaking. When she's not making films, Elena loves hiking, biking, and skiing with her family. So good morning, Elena. It's good to have you with us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
So, about the filming process of Looking Up, you spent an earlier part of your career as a print journalist in Washington, D.C., before segueing into documentary filmmaking. How did you know you wanted to make movies?
I kind of, in life, sometimes you have a straight path and you know what you want to do, and sometimes it's more circuitous. Mine was the latter. Um, I started as thinking I wanted to be a professor of history, and then fell into a job at a wire service one summer and fell in love with journalism, and that turned into a magazine job writing long form features for a magazine. And then when I had kids, I was looking literally for a job that wasn't such a big commute. And I found an opportunity doing treatments and grant proposals at a documentary film company. That was my introduction to film. I didn't know that I wanted to be a filmmaker, but once I was there, I saw that the narrative form was so similar to feature writing, but so much more powerful with the addition of sound and image. And I went to film school. So I think the history professor to the feature writer to the documentary film actually makes some sense, but it wasn't thought out in advance. It just kind of happened.
Okay. So this film that we're talking about, which is Looking Up, it follows the inspiring story of Eitan Arman, a young man diagnosed with progressive blindness from a rare genetic condition, which is a branch of retinitis pigmentosa, which is somewhat rare, but actually a lot of people have that condition. He sets out to conquer the challenging El Capitan rock face with determination and grit. How did you find this project, and how did you know you needed to make this film?
I met Eitan when he was a student at Columbia. My daughter went there as well, and he was in her friend group. He started 2 years after she did because he had been doing army service. So, but they were the same age, and he kind of folded right into her friend group. And I was impressed with him from the moment I met him. In fact, ironically, when I met him at a documentary film screening, and she introduced me, and his walking stick was folded in his back pocket. I didn't see it. And I just met this young man who had amazing sense of humor. His intellect was apparent. He had charm. He looked you straight in the eye when he spoke to you. I met him and he made a very strong, positive impression upon me. Um, and she asked me as we were leaving the film, what did you think of Aton? She had told me about this new kid on campus who was blind. She had not ever had a friend who was visually impaired. So I said I thought he was great. And she was like, that is the guy I mentioned to you. And I like, I didn't even realize that he had a problem seeing. All I saw was him. And as they became closer, he, about 2 years later, decided that he wanted to make a small promotional video for a medical trial that he's still in, and that's referenced in the film. And literally, he wanted to pay it forward. The trial was expanding, and he wanted to help other people. Well, he wanted to help his doctors recruit other people with RP into the trial, and he wanted to encourage people suffering with his disease to encourage them to join because he felt that it was preserving what little central vision he still had. And he knew I was a filmmaker, and he wanted to make a short, and that was what I was doing at the time. And it turned into a feature film, kind of haphazardly, as so many things in my career did. He was looking for a challenge. He met Jay. Jay was a climber. Jay was climbing El Cap about 9 months later, invited him to join, and that's how it turned into a feature film, and that's how it turned into a rock climbing adventure.
And what was the biggest obstacle in making this film, and how did you tackle it?
Well, I'm not a rock climber, so that was an obstacle. We had a team, we had a specialized team, rock climbing cinematography team on the wall with them. I was down in El Cap Meadow with a very large telephoto video camera, um, because there are no drones allowed in national parks, which is really such a shame. So I was getting the wide angle shots. But it meant that for the well, it turned out to be 4 days of the climb, uh, I wasn't with my subjects. And that is a very fraught place to be as a director. And I couldn't even really speak to them on the phone, other than at the end of the day. So, I mean, I had prepped them. I told them what I needed them to do. I had prepped the cinematographers, but still, when you're not there, you just have to hope that they're paying attention to the instructions you gave them. So that I'd say was the biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge was our unexpected snafu on the last day of the climb, where we were missing a piece of equipment, and we weren't sure how they were going to finish the climb, and that was very stressful for them, and it was stressful for me as the director.
And this film has had a tremendous festival run. Is there a particular scene in the film that resonates with audiences? And as you were making the film, is that what you anticipated?
There is a scene that everybody mentions to me that I never expected to resonate the way it does. It takes place in a car on a highway in Iowa. So, really, really boring landscape. And I was sitting in the back seat with the cinematographer, and Eitan and his father were in the two front seats. So, if you can imagine, the camera was filming the back of their heads. And as I started listening to their conversation, I told the camera to roll, and that the car's bouncing. And it's a scene in which Eitan asks his dad what it was like for his dad hearing for the first time about his diagnosis that he was going blind. And his dad talks about feeling like he had let Eitan down, feeling like he had been kicked in the stomach, feeling like maybe he could have caught it earlier. All the vulnerabilities of a parent come out when you have a child who is suffering a terrible loss that you cannot prevent. And I think every parent in the audience really connected with that scene. We all want the best for our children, and sometimes we just can't give them we can't give them the future that we had hoped they would have. So that scene, but it's not a beautiful scene, and there are a lot of really beautiful cinematic moments in the film, but this was just a really human moment.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember that scene. It was a really good one. And what are you working on next?
I have another rock climbing film that it may come to fruition. This marketing journey that the film has been on has been a very time-consuming and all-encompassing year. It was all new for me as a first-time feature director, and I think other independent filmmakers would understand that, you're kind of ushering this child, this baby that you have birthed into the world, and you're really the advocate for it. So that's been very time consuming, and I haven't really been able to take on like a major project. But now that the film is streaming, and it has been for about 2 weeks now, which has been really exciting. It's on Amazon Prime Video and a bunch of other streamers. Now the child has left the nest, and it's funny how I seem to be the rock climbing lady. One thing leads to another, but I have a few other things in the pot as well.
Oh, very nice. Okay, cool. So, I also wanted to kind of talk a little bit, just mention a few of the supplements and vitamins that people can take with this health condition. This is just basic research, and scientific information, that's, been published recently about, the AREDS vitamins that were in the National Institutes of Eye Health vitamin study. Some of them have been shown to be helpful, as well as bilberry and vitamin A. And actually, back until 2015, one of the official organizations that studies these eye conditions used to recommend that people with retinitis pigmentosa take 15,000 IU daily of vitamin A. And they only recently stopped recommending that. So those are things that people can try, if they do have this condition. But and they're just basically vitamins. Um, so it was really good to speak to you. And do you have anything else that you wanted to share about your experience working with Aton? Did you do any work in New York as well, on this particular film? Because I know he does live in New York.
Oh yeah, we filmed a whole bunch of scenes in New York, actually. Um, that's interesting what you say about the vitamins. I'm not familiar, but our film concentrated less on the medicine and more on the psychology, which I think makes it more of a universal film. We spent a lot of time with Tal Ben Shahar, who is a leading expert in happiness studies, and he's taught the class on happiness at Harvard for many years. And there's a scene with Aton where they walk around the reservoir in New York, and they talk about really the principles of positive psychology as it applies to Aton. And that's my favorite scene in the film. And it's very much about mindfulness. It's about what you do when life throws you a curveball, and it's how you respond to things that happen to you, even devastating things like losing your eyesight. That determines, your resilience. And so it's not denying that something bad has happened, but it's saying, I can't control that. So how am I going to live my best life and challenge myself within the confines of what has happened to me? And I think that applies to everybody. I think everybody faces challenges, not all as significant as eyesight loss, but I think everybody has challenges. Many of them are internal. And this is a film that says, whatever you're facing, challenge yourself, live your best life, live big, and be resilient. And I know the film is resonating with lots of different people. I've had people with RP in the audience, but also people suffering with cancer or from mental illness, and they've all talked about how inspired they are by the film. So my hope for the film is that it has an impact and helps people who see it. So, and now lots of people will be able to see it online.
Oh, awesome. Well, it was really, really great to meet with you today, and I really appreciate your taking the time to meet with us.
Thanks so much. A pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too.
Where's Zodiac?
Is 7 New York Street blocks, 1,800 feet to the top.
Can you see it?
Oh, really?
You called me 2, 3 in the morning and you were just crying. Something's wrong with my vision. I'm not seeing things right.
Retinitis pigmentosa is a loss of peripheral vision.
I can see a little bit.
No, really?
Keep going. Keep going. Now. Have you heard of El Cap in Yosemite? A friend's dad thinks that I might be able to join him for the trip.
Does he know your scope of vision?
I think there is a way for us to do this climb that could be safe for you.
If I don't see something, that's where things can go wrong.
You have challenged yourself a lot, but this seems like a different level.
That's one. Oh, sorry.
Ready?
We're gonna find out. I'm gonna leave the ground.
You just have to have mental and emotional toughness. But I think you're pretty tough.
Today I'll leave the ground.
It's when we accept and embrace painful emotions, we can choose to make the best of things that happen.
Let go of everything that you cannot control and just focus on what you can. Look at me! May I?
Yes, you might.
We don't have a piece that we need to lead the last few pitches. Things did not go according to plan. I'm not really worried.
I think people are worried at how not worried you are.
As a father, you just feel like you've let your kid down.
You've never, ever let me down. Part of life is challenging yourself and sometimes being scared and doing things you haven't done before. Sitting around waiting for something to change shows a lack of appreciation for what I do have. I used the pee bottle.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I took an L crap.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's a poo with a view.
It's the view for everybody in the valley.
This feels like a real portal edge. Last night we were, at least my side was actually like on the rock. And there was something underneath me, but tonight it's just us and air. In air.
Here you go.
Thank you, sir.
What's this medicine you're taking?
It is to help prevent more vision loss. So it's not going to restore anything, but it's hopefully going to preserve my central vision. Oh. So like today when we were talking about how much of the rope I can see, so like when I can see, well now I can see less because it's darker, but when I can see that much of the rope, honestly I can see that much of my finger right now, like from here to here. Wow. But in order to preserve me being able to see that much, it's even less than like a knuckle, I take this medicine twice a day.
So you're telling me when I'm holding this up, you can't see the full carabiner?
I mean, when I look at the nail on your thumb, I can't see your whole nail in this lighting.
I think your doctors are just giving you Alka-Seltzer
Yeah, all right, you can
and
stop
telling
there.
you it's for your eyes.
I started this clinical trial within 3 months of finishing the Army, of being medically discharged, and my central vision has almost not changed at all since I started taking this. Whereas in the Army, it fell off a cliff. So it seems to be doing something.
What would you tell someone who, got a diagnosis like yours?
Off the top of my head, I would tell them this sucks, and that's okay. Take the time to let it suck, but when you're ready, let go of everything that you cannot control and just focus on what you can.
Big wall climbing, let's just say we're not setting any speed records tonight.
Not today. No. I think after I let go of what can I do, what can't I do, just more knowing that new challenges will come up, be it visual related or other things, and that doesn't mean I won't have discomfort when they arise, but with that kind of system around me, I'm really fortunate to have. That's what will help me deal with things.
How's it going, Eitan?
All good. Look at this.
Lost in space.
May I?
Yes, you might. Good job, mate.
One of the most harmful misconceptions is that happiness is about an uninterrupted flow of pleasure.
How was that route, Willie?
There are only two kinds of people who don't experience painful emotions: the psychopaths and the dead. So experiencing painful emotions, going through hardship, it's part and parcel of every life. The question is not whether or not we experience them, the question is what do we do with them when they arise.
I had a little moment on the last pitch, right after the lower off, I was just hanging in space.
Yep.
And that was the first time the exposure got to me. I had to take a quick breath, and then
Paradoxically, it's when we accept and embrace painful emotions that we're best able to move forward, to grow. I don't think things necessarily happen for the best. However, what I do subscribe to is that we can choose to make the best of things that happen. Take, for example, what you're going through. There's nothing that you can do about the fact that it happened, but there's a lot that you can do in terms of choosing what to do with what has happened.
Get me to the anchor one more time, at least, please, dear God. That's it. That's what I got. What do you think? I have this big rock climb planned. People ask, aren't you scared? Aren't you this? Aren't you that? And what I say to them is, no, this is something new. It's gonna be fun. I'll be outside. I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm not trying to prove that I'm still capable of doing things that people who are visually impaired can't do. It's more what I can do given my limitations. Some things are frustrating, right? It's frustrating like not being able to clip in, right?
Right.
Versus, or little things in camp where it's, little things that I struggle with here on the wall and off the wall, but also it's, there's something nice about just focusing on the next move up and the next move up and not everything all at once.
Putting ourselves on the line, coping, as opposed to avoiding. So, the success or failure thereof, matters, and of course we feel better when we succeed and worse when we fail. But what contributes most to our well-being, to our self-esteem, is the fact that we put ourselves on the line, that we tried, that we coped. Win or lose, fail or succeed.